Good morning, you are watching The Morning Drift. I'm very happy. The studio looks vibrant and colorful. I am amazed at how much feedback and love you're showing us on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and all other platforms alike. Thank you very much for creating time in your living rooms, in your homes, in the spaces where you're watching us from, for actually being part of this conversation this morning. I go shout out to Sally Daniels, who is of course part of our team in the news team, and she's saying she's looking forward to the big conversation this morning. Of course, Lamek Anugo as well. And I just want us to go straight into what we are discussing this morning. And if you're a parent watching, the question is, where did we go wrong, all right, in our today's parenting? We have questions of, crimes increasing. We have questions of, neglect, absenteeism, all right? And now we have single parenthood with people reasoning differently around these situations. So the CBC is here now, and each parent would ask the other, why didn't you help the child with the homework? Why is it not you? So there's a lot of questions around parenting, and that's why today our focus is on today's parenting. And even through the electioneering period, we're saying leaders are nurtured from when they're young. Who is nurturing the leaders of tomorrow? So join us at Lookup TV on Twitter. Lookup TV is streaming live on Facebook. Let me know your concerns. We have a psychologist on set, so just want to welcome you on set. Karibuni sana. Mrs. Musa, Mariam Musa, thank you so much. You're a family therapist, and we're looking forward to hearing your point of view when it comes to the psychological effects that our today's parenting has on our children, on our parents, and even on the entire society.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And of course, our advocate on set, Mr. Enoch Chisengo. Thank you, sir, for creating time.
Thank you for having me.
We have had a lot of cases clogging on, in the family courts, the children courts, and we want to understand why the increase, number of cases at the moment. So I'll just, like I said earlier on, it's been such a twist for the society. There's been feminism, some bit of, masculinity. Some people say you're actually de-empowering the boy child. But ultimately, I think parents, and even parents in teachers' pool, we've seen that when the school actions were going on, said, oh no, it's the parents' responsibility. Teachers are saying, you have left your children for us, So I felt it is important to have the conversation with the Kenyans this morning regarding today's parenting. And I want to start with, of course, Mrs. Mariam here today. And I want your perspectives on, the old parenting the skills that used to be there that we no longer see today. If you could mention a few of them, so Kenyans can start tracking where we probably lost it.
Thank you, Anki. Yeah. Good morning, Kenya. Say that. So when we look at parenting, of course, there is a difference between parenting now and parenting that used to be there. And of course, from each generation, we have a difference. There's always something changing. The old parenting, if we look at it, we're looking at where, first of all, the child was reared by the whole family, the whole community. I think, and that is key for us to note, that the child belonged to the family, the child belonged to the society. And every member was concerned about each and every child in that community. So that is also where we had the father, mother, or father and mothers. We had, for example, if we had some of us who were brought up in polygamous families, and as opposed to how it is now, we just were taken care of well, just like the other children. If a mother, your mother was not around, the other mother would take care of you. If a child fell sick, the whole family was concerned. So you find that there was that commonality, there was that unity of purpose, there was that, the values were, like everybody had to have those values in that society, and it was everybody's concern. I think it's key for us to note that it was everybody's concern, as opposed to now where bringing up your children is your own role. It's your role, it's your duty, it's your responsibility, and I think nobody cares. If there's anybody who cares, there are very few. And also, the parent in the olden days wanted also support. They needed support, they got support. The parent now might need support and not get it from the others. And the parent now might not even need your support. You might want to help them, but they may not feel comfortable. That is key to remember, because we have become more individualistic. And perhaps we believe that this is modernity and this is development and this is becoming better as a society. And I believe we have become more enlightened. So should we now be as enlightened, but then now our society, we find that we have more and more problems, which is expected given the changes that have taken place, the social changes that are taking place. Definitely we cannot say that we will remain in the old system forever. But what I believe is that we need to pick some of those positive aspects that were there and maybe bring them here. Because clearly where we are moving, where we are headed, the direction is not so good. You find that if a child, if I found a neighbor's child maybe in trouble or behaving not in such a manner that is good, and they are going in the wrong direction, I should be able to support that child, maybe talk to that child and find a way of talking to the parents. But is it really what other parents want? So I think we need to sit as a society and just dialogue. And go back to our roots and pick the positive aspects and combine them with the current that we have now.
And that's where we're headed. Pardon me, that's where we're headed as we continue with this conversation. To just pick the positives and add on to the positives that we could be having today. Now, she's talking about the entire family. You know, father, mother, children, father, mothers, and that's how it actually looked. That was the context at the time. Today, being an advocate, we are seeing a lot of father, child, mother, child. All right. And I don't know what you have to say about this, because for some reason the law has allowed, now the divorce rates are a bit too high compared to when it was then. How did the law play part in this?
The law has, the desire of the law, the spirit of the law is to have that unit of a family. When you look at the definition of a family from the Constitution to other acts of Parliament or other laws, is the single most unit that where a child needs to be raised. But you know, we as human beings, we have rights, and they are fundamental rights. And you have the right to associate. So association would mean people coming together, adults, consenting to maybe marry under any regime and raise a family. And the right to associate also is allows for dissociation, whereby when things do not work out, there should be a room for people to part ways in the most amicable way. The law comes in to help people to part way in the most peaceful way. And even as that is happening, the law is not quick to help people separate. The law has, the most pronouncements of the courts have been that families should be, parents should subject themselves to alternative dispute resolution. So that to try and work out, they work with the church, they work with the qadis, they work with the imams, they work with the community, the elders. Yeah, so that if the courts should be the last resort. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at that, and I just want to understand from our family therapist today, Mrs. Marion, when these situations happen, because now. If you look at the data, the increasing number of single mothers in this country, especially Nairobi, or single fathers, is really rising. What is this different, parenting style, and what implication does it have psychologically on first the parents and on the children?
Okay, thank you, Anki. I want to, first of all, just remind us all that socialization starts at home. So the family is the single most socializing agent that has a bearing on this child. And so the way this child is socialized from the beginning may determine how they turn up into adulthood. So as these things are taking place, just like the learned friend said, it's important for people to part amicably.
All right.
But as opposed to that, I think in Kenya, it's like there is a law that says when you part, you have to be the worst enemies. People don't see eye to eye. It doesn't mean that when you differ, you have to fight. So really, the thing that is a big problem is where parents part and they're fighting. It has a toll. It takes a toll on the children, whether it's small or maybe they have even grown. You find that the children, first of all, are very happy when the parents are together if they live peacefully. We should also remember that they might be together, and if there is no peace, it can be even worse on the children. But the children are happy when their parents are together and they live in peace. And that's why I think we remember before, parents never used to argue in front of the children. So it's not like they never used to fight. They went to their room, they closed the door and fought and came out smiling. And there was a reason to that, because children are supposed to see that unity. Because if there is any gap, then the children will use that gap. That's where they will use. But you find that when parents separate and they are going to court, and it's like each one is fighting for the other's throat, yeah? So it's like, and even when they start by the abusing, they are just the words. And it's like you have to be the one speaking the worst to the other person. You must be the one, they're fighting as who will be the winner in hurting the other. Yes. So this affects the children psychologically. First of all, especially children who are still young, feel they take any difference with their parents as their responsibility. Children feel like they're responsible, they're the ones who have made their parents argue. It's like they're bad children. That is one thing we need to know. So when you fight, and another thing is that parents want their children to take sides. So when you fight, you, the mother, you'd want your children to be on your side and not the father. And the father will, so like, you talk worse, ill or of your partner because you are not together. And these children are affected. One, they would want to take sides, but for both parents. So now when you separate them and you now give them these vibes, it really confuses them. One thing, it hurts them. Another, because they feel like these two people used to love each other, and now they're enemies. So it hurts them. They feel responsible in a way, depending on the age also. And they might become resentful later in society. Because even they're like, what did the society do? What did my family do to ensure that we didn't have to suffer this much? So they will also, of course, suffer separation when the parents separate. And this has a huge psychological toll on the children. You find that you might, I'm sure if we conduct research, you might find that some of the children start lagging behind in school. Yeah. You notice a difference in their behavior. Some might become abusive, violent. Others may just shrink and turn to themselves and want not to associate with others. So a lot of things happen to the children depending on the situation. Yes. So researchers conducted found that parents who separate amicably and have peace tends to affect the children a little bit. It's not like it's the best, but a little bit, as opposed to when the parents are fighting and when they are going for each other's throat. The difference is amazing. And then again, when we look at these children, as we separate them, what is it that they will do? Depending, because then you are fighting who will take the children.
Yes. Custody.
Yes, custody is a major issue. And that when these parents are fighting for these children, and sometimes they share the children, that is first of all separating the children. So the children would want to live together, but one is going with the father, the other with the mother, and even meeting. So there are some situations where the days when now the children are going to visit, that is a war day. There is war. Some will even fight on the road. To an extent that sometimes the children will rather stay in school than go with the parent, because the parents are fighting who will be the best. And looking also at the economic situation. Yes. Sometimes the most dominant parent who has resources, more resources than the other, tends to take control and manipulate the situation and tell the children, if you will go with, you'll remain with your mother, she's poor or she has nothing, you will miss this life, or you'll go with your father the other way, because each end of the parents can be better off economically considering the current life they have. Yes. So it's like they're pitting the children on the resources that they have. So if you go this way, you will miss this and this. And then when these parents separate, you find that sometimes the other parent doesn't support the other. Yes. So especially men, most of the men I've talked to feel like, nimpatie pesa naenda kule na pia the mother will also have food or whatever they are giving.
So according to this man, the mother should not eat, but the child should eat.
Yes. So whatever they are giving, if it's paying for a house, the mother will live there. I'd rather not pay.
So what happens to the child?
The child, doesn't matter. Because I'm sure he will tell you that there are cases where custody, maybe the father says, I have to take the children. If she remains with them, let her take care of the bills and everything. I'm not responsible. And even the other way around. So you find that they're fighting, and sometimes I feel the courts are even confused because they don't know how to support this. It's too much on them.
And I want to hear on that part where she says sometimes she feels even the courts are a bit confused. We have the children's welfare. Do we?
Yeah, we do.
We have children's officers. And when these cases come to court, we are looking at the best interest of the child. Yes. But when I'm hearing aspects of during counseling and therapy, a father says, I'd rather not because the other parent will be benefiting from it. How does the court approach this really?
You know, the problem with parents is they draw their children into their wars. But as you have rightly said, the best interest of the child is paramount. Everything else is subordinate to the best interest of the child. So every decision being taken by the parents must have the best interest of the child. If the parents are separating, they must know that they must put the children first, not their interests first. So, but putting your interests first means one, you are selfish, and the other, you are depriving this child of their rights. To first of all, to be a child, because you know, to just be a child, enjoy parenthood, enjoy provision, education, and all other rights of that child. Now, the courts, the courts have always come in to ensure that there is a balancing act, because if one parent is materially endowed more than the other, and they are manipulating the entire situation, the legal framework has provided for provision by parents. The Constitution talks of 50-50.
Yes.
The mother providing 50 and the father providing the 50.
Yes.
Yeah, so that there is the child will feel that my mother is playing part in my life and my dad is playing part in my life. We have situations where parents have taken advantage of their separation,
yes,
and they take custody of their children not because they look at they commercialize the entire exercise. So they are looking at their own interest and not the interest of the children. They take children and start demanding from the other parent, not just for provision, but because they want to punish that other parent. So the courts have come in. There are decisions where the courts have even said that the other parent is not an ATM machine where you are supposed to mint money from. Everyone has to file their affidavits of means to declare how they earn their living, how the child is going to have a decent life.
Yes.
So the custody of the child should not be just based on the material and of a parent. It goes beyond to look at the decision, to look at the psychological well-being of the child, the presence of the parent in the child's life, and all those aspects.
Yeah.
So the issue here is that the best interest of the child is paramount. It takes precedence against all others.
All right.
Yes.
I like when you tell us what the quote exactly looks at, but I want to talk about absenteeism. I don't know how many parents watching this morning were with their children last night, saw them before they went to bed, helped them with their homework. Yes, you want to touch on that because really the parent today is pretty much absent from what we know. You wake up at 3, you're trying to beat traffic. All right, you go to work, they're sleeping. The nanny will take care of them, they'll get to school. You come back, they're asleep. What is this, happening?
It's true. And I think that is what we now we live with every day. And if there is something that I will first of all tell the society or this Kenya, if there is one thing that we need to do, I think, is to just create awareness among parents that everything we do should be in the best interest of the child, just like he said. The best interest of the child, which is never thought of. When these parents are separating, they're quarreling, whatever is happening, nobody is thinking about the child. Remember, these are the children that will stay up at night when the parents are fighting physically, till morning they go to school, they are sleepy, they are psychologically confused, they're feeling absent, and at the same time, you find that some of the parents most of the parents are absent. Mainly it's not because of their own making, because they have to look for the money and the resources. But one thing I believe is that whether we look for this money hardly, because we should not just think that these children need the resources only. They need you more than even the resources. You might provide the best education facilities. You might provide the best for these children, for them to have materially. But imagine, you even wonder, why is it that there are children from poor backgrounds who seem more happy, well-behaved, they feel free, and they even do well in school, they succeed in despite of all the other hardships. But you find that maybe the families are close, the parents are always there for these children. And being there doesn't mean that you have to spend the whole day and night with this child. You can be present and absent at the same time. You can be in that house from Monday to Sunday, yet you are absent. I don't know if you understand that. Because if I'm, for example, let's say I'm a father, I'm at home, I'm seated. I'm watching TV all day, Gazette, I read the newspaper, I watch TV, the remote is working, from there I go take shower. I'm at home, I'm not absent. My children even don't come close to me because they're hiding. If I'm at home, they're in the room, they feel like even going under the bed. There are parents who, when they get home, their children scamper. They look for where to go. So that parent, these children they'd rather you are not there, so that they have peace. Some homes, the children are at peace when the parents are away, whether the father or mother. That's where you find a family celebrating, the children celebrating. Baba, unaenda safari, utakaa siku ngapi? I'm going for 2 days. I wish he stayed for 2 months.
This is actually happening?
Yes, very much. It's happening. Children are celebrating when the parents are not there because of the way you treat them. So that's where you will find that maybe there's another parent who is very busy, has less time at home, but the children are happy, they're enjoying the company of the parent, because when that parent is at home, they're present. They are really present because they're engaging the children. You might be there and you don't even, the parents don't even know the child's class. Which class is this child? The birthday is coming and they don't even remember which year, how old that child is. Believe me, they are there. Parents who don't even remember their children's age.
Birthday and age.
Yes.
And now I'm looking at, how the system
because
is.
Because they're busy.
Yes.
And, they will tell you, I have to look for money. What do they expect from me? Yes, you look for that money, but in the end, you might find that you wasted a lot of your time and energy and resources. And that child didn't benefit. That's where you find them in drugs.
Yes, I was going to.
They're joining these gangs. And really, as I tell you, when you talk to these young people, what they go through and why they get into certain behavior, you find that most of the reasons come from the family, how the family rears them. That is, I can tell you for sure, that one.
You know, you reminded me of a saying that has been, you know, said over and over, that hurt people hurt.
Yes, they do. Because then, this child is suffering. Let's take, for example, a child who goes to school, and then you, as, let's say, a teacher, you are also a parent.
Yes.
This child comes late every day. The thing is, you need to find out why they come late. But the practice is, you will take this as a bad child. There is something, maybe you just even send them away. Many are suspended and even expelled from school.
Yes.
Instead of finding out why. If you try to find out why, you might find that there is a reason at home and you support this child. Some of these children, if they are from poor backgrounds or this, they might come even hungry at school. You find them dozing. Maybe they didn't sleep the whole night. The parents were fighting. And so you expect them to still do well in school and excel. And that child will come back home with a report that is not good. And you know, Kenyans were obsessed with grades, performance and grades.
Yes.
So when they come with that poor grade, you are the first to blame them, even beat them up, and you give them how you are really suffering and giving them everything that you didn't have. That reminds me, as parents, let us not keep telling our children that they are lucky for you doing what you are doing for them. It's not a favor. You gave birth to them. Remember, no child applied to be born. When you started having children, if you try to find out, none of them applied to be born. So if you tell them that you are lucky, I'm providing this that I didn't get, I went to school barefoot, and you keep drumming it to them every day. Okay, it's good to tell them at least one, just what happened, but it should not be the song that you sing. At any little thing, you get that excuse. You are lucky, you get everything, I provide this, but you are providing that and maybe you are not even there.
Yes.
So they'd rather you didn't provide much,
but
and you even, and you know, children want also to be valued, to be respected, and to be recognized. But if you look at children as, you know, they're
assets.
Yes, but the assets in the house, it's not good.
So presence is very, very important.
Because then it affects their self-esteem.
All right, we'll come to that.
Yes.
We'll come to the psychological aspect and how it brings out the society, people we're seeing in the society who are now battling as adults. I remember somebody once said, our mandate as parents is to raise happy children instead of try to heal broken adults. So if you're watching today and you're a parent, what are you doing? Are you raising happy children? Are they having a happy childhood? Or are we building adults who are now going to try and recover from their childhood? And I want to understand, there are young, there's juvenile, right? There's rehabilitation. When we have these cases in court, do we have parents involved? You know, when we see now cases of a young boy who has impregnated a young girl, it's always a minor thing. You find a 13-year-old has been impregnated by a 15-year-old. How are these cases? Are parents involved? Do parents, you know, come in when it comes to such cases?
You know, the law was, the Sexual Offences Act was put in place, and there is provision to protect the child from defilement and from abuse, of sexual abuse. Yeah. And so before then, children would be abused, and it used to be a normal thing. But you asked a very interesting question. In a situation whereby two children, two minors, have been involved in a sexual intercourse, and now the girl is pregnant.
Yes.
How should the law come in to treat it? It is a dilemma that courts are battling with, because most cases when parents are involved, they try to conceal and solve these things behind the back of the law, so that there is the compensation, there is a reparation, and the girl child is allowed to give birth, or the pregnancy is terminated, and the boy child continues with their lives. But we have had situations whereby if the two minors are involved, the children's court comes in as corrective, such that it's not punitive. It's not going to punish one and leave one go scot-free, but come in a way that would help these children rehabilitate and become even responsible adults.
Because as we're speaking, we had a conversation and somebody was challenging the entire audience and said, why is it that the girl child drops out of school? And the boy continues, what if the repercussions would be you both drop out of school? All right, and then after she has the baby, because there's always paternity leave also for the adults. Why does the boy get to continue going to school and the girl, drops out of school? And people were asking, is the court, are the bills and the lawmakers, do they have a sit down with parents when these laws are formed? When it comes to situations like this?
When laws are being formed, there is the public participation aspect.
Is it specific?
Yeah, where the public is called upon to give views on how this law should be enacted, so that it doesn't have a negative impact on them. But that notwithstanding, it's an emotive issue where there is a disadvantage on the part of the girl child dropping out of school. I think parents should be held responsible when children are dropping out of school, because a child has a right to education, compulsory basic education, and that is what the law provides for. If this child is allowed to carry the baby to term, then they should, after they have recovered, they should be allowed to go back to school and make something out of themselves and not now become parents. Yeah.
I don't know what Mariam would have to say about another style of parenting which we're seeing today, and it's really a broad topic, but this will touch somebody who's watching back at home. And today you find that those who do not have children take up responsibilities of those who actually have these children. All right, and I do not know if this is affecting our society in somewhat, way, because, for example, I have a child with somebody else. The one who's responsible for that child is absent. Now, someone else has to take up their role. These people have no biological, relationship with this child. There's an emotion that comes to it. Is this working right for us in a psychological perspective? Is this putting us in a dangerous position in raising, say, the men and the women?
Okay, thank you. I think I'd want just to add a little bit on what he said about the child, the girl child, and the boy child. When you call the minor, what do you call with conflict? Minors in conflict with the law. When we know that there is the re-entry policy for the Ministry of Education is very active. And there is no reason why this child should drop out of school, So the girls still go to school as much as they are comfortable. And there is also the provision for counseling this girl.
All right.
Because, for them to go to school, they would need some skills for them to be able to cope. Because remember, they might face challenges like bullying from the others, and even their own stigma, and they also themselves. So they need to garner confidence, so they need to go through counseling and be able to go to school until to a level where they are able to still cope, and then after delivery, then they can go back. And we do not have, I feel we don't have to subject the boy child to stay at home because the girl is at home. So the boy child should continue with education, but they also, I think in law you treat them as children in need of care or something. So they need to be counseled. They need to find out what is the root cause of this, the behavior also. Because if we don't find the root cause, it might continue. So it is one of the contemporary issues we have to deal with. Yeah, and then now back to our point where we have one parent with children and the other one taking up the responsibility. It's something that is a practice that has become very common. And you find that in some instances it does work very well. For example, I think from time immemorial, the woman was there because the man had children, and the woman would get married and take care of the family. That I think has been there. What is, I think, becoming more and more common is where the other way around, where the woman has children and the man takes care of them. First of all, remember the challenges they will face. First, the resistance from the family, especially from the other spouse's family,
yes,
where they will feel like this, especially mostly the man is taking a responsibility that is not his. And this person may be very comfortable doing that, taking that role. So we might find that there is tension coming from even the outside sources. And also, this is an investment that this man is putting in or the woman is putting in. So if the relationship is okay, I don't think there is any problem.
It wouldn't really affect the children.
Yes, but if they have a good relationship, and we have had people who are brought up this way and they are very comfortable. And we also have had similar situations where there was one of the parents maybe took advantage. We even have issues where we have sexual abuse of the children. But I think this one depends on each situation is unique. I'd feel for this. If one is good enough, and in the olden days, I think people were responsible for the children that were not even theirs. So that would help us with orphans. And in something that we need also to touch on is the orphans and vulnerable children in our society, where we have even child-headed households. So you find that the children are taking care of themselves, and so they need the society around, the community around. So if there is a person who is more willing to take care of these children and to support that family, so long as one is not taking advantage of the other, I think it's good. But of course, we have to go back to our roots and add the good things.
And that's where the question would come: is the society willing to take up, these children, these orphans we're talking about? Are the orphanages we are seeing today, are they honest with the cooperation from bodies that want to help, because there have been issues of taking advantage of these children? I want to come to you when it comes to taking that responsibility. Now, you will make it clear here, because now, as much as it's not legal in Kenya, we are seeing, and that's why it's a big conversation, we are seeing same-sex marriages. All right, it is illegal, I understand, or you can let me know if it is not, and they adopt children. All right, so I want to understand from you, because there's a psychological aspect of it, but is the law agreeable to that? And what happens when actually you see two women adopt a child and they take care of this child as parents?
Well, same-sex unions are illegal, so they are not marriages in the first place. Two adults of the same sex are not allowed to adopt in Kenya. Yes. Maybe if they would adopt, if they are maybe not Kenyan citizens, and there's the adoption agencies that follow up to ensure that these children are being handed to parents, maybe a single parent or two parents of opposite gender. A single parent can adopt a child of the same gender. It's allowed. So for those same-sex unions, they should, one, they are illegal unions, and number two, they cannot adopt. Yes. So
the law is very clear.
It's very clear.
If that is found, then there is action that will be taken.
Yes, there is an action that should be taken.
All right.
Yes.
Now, as we're wrapping up, I know we have a lot. This is a conversation that can never end. And parents are watching this morning. Young girls who are just becoming young mothers are also watching, and we want to hear from you, your final word, general remarks on what we are going through right now, and how to just ensure that we are not battling a broken, nation. Because what I see from today, and even as Kenyans are going to vote, we see people are very angry, very resentful, and we're kind of losing direction, even in leadership. And I remember the president once said, if the family is not okay, then the entire nation isn't okay. I don't know what you have to say on the psychological aspect and as a family therapist, how this can be addressed, and really moving forward, your general views.
I think to wrap it up, I might just want to say that children are the fabric of the society. these are the raw materials that we need for tomorrow, and they are made today. So we need to make this child today a good and better child today, not tomorrow. So as a society, as parents, as teachers, as anybody else in this society, we need to take stock. We need to really go back to the drawing board and think and come up with ways to intervene, to ensure that our children are brought up well, because from the things that are happening today, it's not, it's hard. Let me just divert a bit. I make people laugh because before you could, a man would seduce a young a lady, and that could take even a year or years. And you would be given everything. They would invest so much. And at the end, this girl would not even get married to that man. They get married elsewhere. But is it now that those men were stronger? Because they moved on and they lived well. They didn't hack these women or girls to death. They moved on with their life. They continued. So we need to bring up strong men and women. We need to make our children resilient. So we need to give them skills, coping skills, skills that enable them to live in a society, skills that help them cope with the challenges. Because if one is not able to cope with the challenges, that's when now you find that instead of dialoguing, we resort to hacking one to death.
Homicide.
Yes. We need to start from home at an early age. It should not wait for tomorrow. And we need to come up together as parents, as a family, as a nation, as a society. And I think a little bit forget our individualistic aspects, our materialistic way of life. It doesn't matter how well endowed you are. If you are well endowed and your children are broken, because I can tell you for sure, there are so many broken souls out there. And that is why I advocate for mental health to be a necessary ingredient. Wherever we go, there are so many broken souls. And as opposed to what we think, there are so many young people on the verge of committing suicide. There are so many that have tried 2 or 3 times, and especially the boy child. The cases are so many. Tell people, especially I remember a season where in 1 week, I had like 5 cases of young people who had tried to commit suicide.
Yes, that's
yes. So we need to, as a society, let's take charge, let's work together, and let's dialogue.
So like we used to have communities involved, parents should, because I know there are places in Nairobi, if you're watching from whichever estate, where you do not see your neighbor. And even if the child is fallen with a bike right outside your door, you do not say a word or care about it.
You can even skip.
And move on. And that's a bit terrible as we are speaking. And I'll just do 2 feedback and come back to you to help us close. Says more time says, good morning, Anki. It says there is a good conversation. The parents have lost their role. They say that huyo anakuanga hivyo. And it becomes a trend. The child gets used to that and says, zazi wangu ananijua. All right. So where do we go? I think he meant how do we go about that? So even as you're closing, you might want to touch on that. Mugure Kinuthia is also watching, saying tuned from Nairobi. Also Amui Kariuki is watching. But your question here, anakwanga hivyo. You know, is it, you know, where are we headed at? And then, you know, the child also says, well, when he dreams, as young and yes.
I think as parents, we should not give up on our children. That's number 1. And that statement means that you have given up on your child and amekushinda. As a parent, we need to be there for the children. We've talked about this. If we are present and we are holding conversations with these children, and considering that these children really, we should not look at them as people who are less informed. We should really engage them in conversations that are very constructive, so that we create that rapport where the child can even share with you most of the deviant behaviors of children is reactionary. They are trying to communicate that, look, you are not seeing me, so you need to give me attention of that they need.
All right.
Yeah, so we should not give up on them and say wanakuanga hivo. We really need to come in and be corrective in a friendly manner, create that environment, the family, the home environment where the child can look up to going home, and the child can even miss you as the parent. The other thing, parenting is a collective.
Yes.
And if there is anything happening to a child, if you see it, please do not keep quiet. The Constitution allows even somebody else to go to court on behalf of another.
All right.
So you could enforce this child's rights, not because you are the parent, but as any other person who is an interested party, as a grown-up who is interested in having a tomorrow society that is peaceful, that is more responsible.
All right.
Yeah. If you see your neighbor is not sending children to school, you should raise it.
All right.
Yeah. There is a legal framework allowing you to do that.
Okay.
If you see your neighbor maybe subjecting their children to violence, to labor, they are commercializing their lives, we need to raise it. Because if we do it collectively, I think we can make the society a better place.
And I like that you're in one voice also with our viewers back at home. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook, and I want to wrap up the big conversation. But Muguri Kinuthia has said it takes the whole village, just as you both have said, to raise an African child. And the most fascinating thing about this comment is that he actually said the African child. We need to come together as a society. I want to appreciate you both for, of course, coming on set and just discussing this very important conversation. And we hope that we'll have it more and longer, because this is what the world needs right now. And just to hear the cases of a father raped a child or shot his entire family and committed suicide, you know, we're trying to look at the underlying issues from this. Is the parent feeling overwhelmed? Do parents sometimes feel like they have failed, so they'd rather kill the entire family? All right. We also look at cases of a father, you know, abuse the child in this way, Alim Choma, or have just refused to pay their school fees for a reason or another. So if you're a parent watching back at home and you feel we need to have this conversation more, please reach out to Maria Musa and of course Enoch here for more information. We have the social media handles just at the bottom of your screen, and this conversation should continue. We look forward to having you again. You could even slot a day for this discussion.
Thank you.
Every other, Thursday.
Yeah, we can discuss it again and again. Because it's for the interest of the community and the whole society.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you too. Thank you for having us.
Asante sana. So we are
Thank you to our viewers.
Oh, absolutely. She's a family therapist. She had to actually appreciate you, because this entirely, the hashtag Morning Drift is of course another family. I take a short break, but I'm coming in with a political forum, you know, where we look at the aspirant forums, and this time, even as you're here, I was telling the Kenyans, you have to make informed choices. So go to the ballot box and look at your tribe or your ethnic group. Do you know this person? Yeah, so the Solution Driven TV, one of its kind, brings in the aspirant forum in a few minutes. Grab a cup of your hot water, lemonade, tea or coffee, and now get to know your MCA, coming in a short while. Good morning.